I still remember the day she left, how quiet it was, how cold. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, no final fight to mark the ending. Just her voice, flat and steady, cutting through the air like a dull blade. He's my future now. I'm sorry, but it's over. At first, I thought she was joking. I stood there, stunned, waiting for her to crack a smile, to say it was a mistake. But she didn't. She picked up her bag and walked out the door without a glance back, her silhouette disappearing as if she had never really belonged in that space. And something inside me, something vital, cracked. No explanation, no goodbye, just the silence she left behind. I was frozen where I stood, confused, hollowed out, and completely alone. We had our share of troubles, sure, but I always believed we were still fighting for the same future. That belief vanished in seconds. She hadn't just left me. She had chosen someone else. And I was left holding the fragments of what once felt like something real, unsure whether I was mourning her or the illusion I'd wrapped myself in. The first few weeks were unbearable. I walked through each day as if I were wearing someone else's skin, uncomfortable, unrecognizable. I kept replaying our conversations, our arguments, the quiet moments that now felt like lies. Was I too distant? Too focused on work? Did she try to tell me, and I simply didn't listen? I drove myself mad retracing every step, digging for reasons that might make sense of pain. But eventually, something shifted. The raw hurt dulled into something quieter. Numbness. I forced myself back into a routine. Early mornings, long hours, empty conversations with friends who tried to help but couldn't reach me. I filled the silence with distraction, anything to drown out the echo of her absence. Still, there were moments, the dead of night, the lull between meetings, when I'd think of her, not with rage, not even sadness, just a hollow ache that sat in my chest like unfinished business. She had moved on. I had to do the same. And I did, slowly. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. I began to find myself again, not the man she left, but someone different, someone forged in the quiet aftermath of heartbreak, stronger, clearer, and in that new version of me, I started to believe I was better off. I told myself I had healed, that I no longer needed closure, that the past belonged behind me. Then, one afternoon, there was a knock at my door, soft, hesitant, the kind of knock that doesn't expect to be welcomed. I wasn't expecting anyone, and for a moment I thought it was a neighbor or a delivery. But there it was again. My heart thudded once hard. I don't know how I knew. It was just a feeling that settled into my bones before I even touched the handle. And there she was, standing in the rain, soaked to the skin, her hair tangled and her eyes swollen from crying. She looked nothing like the woman who had walked out a year ago. She looked shattered. "Human, can I come in?" she asked, her voice breaking. I stared at her, torn between instinct and memory. I had every right to turn her away, every reason to let that door stay closed. But I didn't. I stepped aside and let her in. She moved like a ghost, trailing water across the hardwood, settling on the couch we once picked out together. She looked around the room like it was foreign, like she had stumbled into a past life. Her hands trembled in her lap. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Then, finally, her voice, barely above a whisper, "I've thought about you every day." I didn't respond. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," she said, her eyes shining. "But I need to say this. I need you to hear me." Her voice cracked under the weight of what she was carrying. I thought I was making the right choice when I left. I convinced myself he was what I needed, that I was chasing happiness. But I wasn't. I was running from everything I didn't want to face, from myself. And now, I don't know how to fix what I broke. I sat there, watching the woman who once meant everything to me fall apart in front of me. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, sorrow, longing, disbelief, they all rose at once. "I thought I was in love with him," she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. But I wasn't. I was scared. I let fear drive me into something empty. And now I see it. I miss you. I miss what we had. I miss who I was with you. Her words hung in the air, heavy and raw. "I wanted to hate you," I finally said. But I never did. I was just hurt. You didn't even give me a chance to fight for us. You walked away like we meant nothing. She covered her face with her hands. I know, and I regret that for the rest of my life. The guilt in her eyes was real, but so was the damage. I looked at her and saw everything we used to be, and everything we would never be again. I'm not the same man you left, I said quietly, and I don't think I can ever go back to who I was. You made a choice, and I had to live with it. Now, so do you. She nodded slowly, except in the way of my words, her shoulders slumping beneath them. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said, standing. Truly, I hope you find peace. She rose without protest, wiped her face, and walked toward the door. No pleading, no last-minute apologies. Just a quiet, understanding resignation. And as I watched her leave this time, there was no heartbreak, no storm inside me, only stillness. Letting go is never easy. It never feels like victory. But in that moment, I knew I had done the right thing. For me, I had already moved on. And now, I had finally let her go.